We are Blackmore. We are St. Louis.
Day baseball on Fox Sports Midwest this afternoon. It's the rubber game between the San Diego Padres and the St. Louis Cardinals. Welcome to Day Baseball. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. And we know that's the jobs for these guys. They love the game of baseball, but it's also a time to spend a little time with your families as well.
Yeah, they've got the kids out here at the ballpark on this Sunday, a day where the Cardinals are trying to win this series. They were kind of flat here yesterday after a good opening game of this series, and who better than to have Adam Wainwright pitch the finale. Both pitchers today are strike throwers.
And that is Eric Stoltz. He's a lefty for the San Diego Padres, and Wainwright for St. Louis. Jason Mott, he's a proud pop-up. The Cards, the Padres coming up. Also on the mound, very good. 6 1/3 last night. Lance Lynn really struggling with fastball command. He gave the Cardinals 5 long innings. And today, it's the ace of the staff, and that's Adam Wainwright.
The rubber game belongs to Wainwright, a two-time All-Star now, making start number 21. He has 4 complete games, and like Jake Westbrook, he has been terrific at home. 1.78 ERA here at Busch this season.
Brock Peterson made his debut in the major leagues last night. He's in the starting lineup today. We'll take a look at some possible award winners when we come back.
To the three-game series, second half underway, we thought we'd look at award candidates in the National League.
We start with the NL MVP. What can't Yadier Molina do? Teams have just refused to run on him anymore. The pitching staff of the Cardinals, third lowest ERA in baseball, thanks to Yadi. He's already matched last year's doubles total. He just might take home a batting crown in the second half. Joey Votto, the first baseman of the Reds. He won the MVP in 2010. That was with power. This year, it's his ability to get on base. Amazing. Pitchers just refuse to throw him anything over the plate. He's also one of the smartest players in the game. Outstanding defender. A youngster out west, Paul Goldschmidt. He's among the league leaders in home runs and OPS. At the break, he was the only player leading his team in average home runs, RBIs, runs, and stolen bases. Only 25. His second half could even be better. How about the Cy Young Award in the National League? We'll start with our guy in St. Louis, and that's Adam Wainwright, the ace of the Cardinals. Leads the league in innings pitched, an amazing strikeout to walk ratio. He's tied for the lead in wins, and his strikeouts and ERA among the league leaders. The lefty out west, Clayton Kershaw. This guy is something else. He's pitching better this year than when he won the National League Cy Young Award in 2011. His ERA leads baseball. Also opponent's average. That leads baseball. He could be on his way to another Cy Young Award. Matt Harvey has only made 29 career starts, but he showed enough in those starts to earn the All-Star start in his home park. This year, he's flirted with a perfect game. Twice he took a no-hitter into the seventh inning. Cardinals saw him earlier this year. He was nasty on a Thursday afternoon. It's off to Rookie of the Year. We'll start with Shelby Miller. He has a chance to win it. Remember, this time last year, he was throwing 88 miles an hour with an ERA of 6 in Memphis. Times have changed, and at times this year, he's been dominant. Outstanding first year for Shelby Miller. The only rookie with a whip better than Miller is Jose Fernandez. He's a 20-year-old for the Miami Marlins, dominant in the All-Star game. What may hurt his chances, the Marlins have said they'll shut him down after about 150 innings, but he has outstanding stuff. No one in baseball has more hits than Yasiel Puig since his call-up on June 3rd. At that time, the Dodgers were in the tank. Many thought Don Mattingly would be fired. Oh, how times have changed. We'll see Puig in a few weeks here in St. Louis. He just might be your Rookie of the Year.
A number of players having big first halves in the National League. Great to see the young talent emerging. We'll have more from Busch after this.
against San Diego. Remember, it was one of the starts coming off of surgery, a memorable one for Adam. He went the distance, an emotional night. Complete game shutout, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts, May 22nd of 2012. He'll take the mound this afternoon. Waino and the Cards on Fox Sports Midwest. Next.
Don't say I never complimented you, Dan.
Baseball is brought to you by Bud Light Music First. It's the sound of history being made. Here we go. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer or log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. The man can move.
I don't know what he's doing, but I find it very entertaining.
He should be left-handed.
He should be.
Keys to the game from Joe Kelly to Rick Horton. What do you got? Brought to you by Toyota.
Well, the key here in the final game of this series is for the stars to come out. And the first star would be Adam Wainwright, who is an all-star for the second time. His performance, of course, will matter. But the Cardinals 1, 2, 3 in their order will have Carpenter, Molina, and Craig. Not much offense yesterday. They need them to supply some here this afternoon.
Wainwright trying to pick up win number 13 this afternoon here in St. Louis. High Sox Sunday as we take a look at the lineup that he will face. Everett Cabrera, the switch hitter. Headley also a switch hitter. Then Carlos Quint, Alonso, Venable, Amarista, Forsythe, Rene Rivera, and the pitcher Eric Stoltz. Cardinals defensively, Pete Kozma getting to start at short. Look who's your left fielder today. Brock Peterson. Shane Robinson making the start in center. Craig moving from left to right. And that's a look at the starting 9 of St. Louis, presented by Dobbs.
Peterson's big league debut yesterday, and it was a memorable one.
Sure was. So here we go. Everett Cabrera is at the plate. Shortstop, hitting .289. 4 home runs, and he has driven in 28. 79 degrees and cloudy skies. Lights are on here at Busch Stadium. Very muggy, though, this morning, and it continues here this afternoon, and that's strike 2. Kia starter, 21st start this year, and he is among the league leaders in many categories, and that's the all-star Adam Wainwright.
Very durable starter for the Cardinals. His 146 plus innings leads the National League, so he's out there. He's a workhorse, gets deep into games, just the guy you want pitching the rubber game of a series.
Here's the 0-2. It's put in play, and that is a fair ball. It's off the glove of David Freese. Cabrera, who can fly, is on his way to second base. Leadoff double. Not sure if Freese thought that was going to go foul or not, but looked to be off the end of his glove, and it turns out to be a double.
Bit of a squibber. It takes a funny hop. It is fair, and just off the end of his glove, and by the time the Cardinals run it down, the speedy Cabrera ends up at second base.
Plaza Tire Service replay. Even if he fields that cleanly, it's probably an infield hit with the speed of Cabrera. And he can run 30-plus steals. He stands at first, and here is Chase Headley. Headley is hitting .235, 7 home runs. He's driven in 32. And a ground ball. That's handled by Adams, and a productive out. Cabrera advancing to third.
We'll see a little different game today than we saw yesterday. Both pitchers, Volquez and Lynn, struggled with their command, but Stoltz, the left-hander, then one of the top starters for the Padres this season, and Wainwright are just flat-out strike throwers, so expect the pace to be quicker. Yesterday's game closed in on 4 hours in length.
For 9 innings.
Exactly.
So Lance Lynn, fastball command an issue last night. Cardinals have talked about his body language, trying to improve that. Infield is in here in the first, and that swung on and missed. Wainwright certainly could use strikeout number 131 right here. He leads the staff in Ks. Cardinals come in with a home record of 28-17. In San Diego, just their 16th win on the road, and that was last night. Check swing did not go, so says the crew chief Tim McClellan. Marty Foster is calling the balls and strikes today. Longtime Major League umpire. Joined the Major League staff back in 1999. Quentin hitting .269 with a very good on-base percentage of .372. The curveball drops in for strike number 2.
Vintage Adam Wainwright. Sharp breaking pitch. Finger off the ball, downward spin, sharp break.
Beauty. Outfield is deep straight away. Third place hitter in this lineup. Padres were no hit right before the All-Star break. Tim Lincecum got him. A strikeout. His first, and a big one here in the first.
So he followed up the overhand curveball with a bit of a cutter, more of a slider that's going to break away from Quentin. So he sees fastball, knows it's not the curveball, but it still breaks. And he begins his swing. A good complementary pitch, that cutter to the curveball.
Yonder Alonso. Game road hitting streak. He's hit .295 during that streak and .273 overall. Infield back now with 2 outs, runner at third. Strike one. There it is again, that nasty cutter. He's got good early movement on that. You can see it.
He sure does. That's really his strikeout pitch. The strikeout to walk ratio is phenomenal for Wainwright this year. Again, the high number of innings pitched, but very few walks, a lot of swings and misses.
The curveball, and that's a base hit into center. Yonder Alonso gives the Padres a first inning lead, 1-0. RBI number 31 for Alonso, who spent time on the DL. That drives in Cabrera. Plaza Tire Service replay.
So he goes to the curveball one too many times this inning. He just hung that one. Not a bad choice, really, but he just wasn't able to pull it down. And it just sat there in the middle of the plate. And Alonso, who was hit very well on the road, 12 straight games on the road, hurts the Cardinals here in the first.
Speaking of hurting the Cardinals, that's what Will Venable has done in his career. 420, 7 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run. When you look at those numbers at Busch Stadium, loves hitting at this ballpark. Short lead at first by Alonso. 1-0 pitch from Adam Wainwright. That misses in. 2 balls, no strikes. Cardinals elected to have Wainwright start today. The way that the schedule plays out, you've got 5 games coming up with Pittsburgh. One of those a makeup game. Atlanta coming up, so some big road starts for Adam Wainwright. That also allowed the Cardinals to put Westbrook here at home during this homestand, and you'll see him pitch again against the Phillies, and it seems like he is a different pitcher here at Busch Stadium. The numbers would show that.
And a different hitter.
Good point. The 2-1 pitch.
I could imagine a scenario for Adam Wainwright, who has 12 victories. He's tied for the National League lead. He's 12-5. 5th best ERA in the National League. But wouldn't it be something if Wainwright would be out pitching for a game to maybe clinch something in September against the Cubs, trying to win his 20th and his 100th career victory? How about that night? Now, I'm way ahead of myself, but I'm looking forward to that possibility.
Well, it's not just Adam Wainwright or Jake Westbrook, but Shelby Miller, Lance Lynn, all have been very good here at Busch Stadium. It was a rare home loss for Lynn last night.
2 guys on the right, Miller and Lance Lynn, to me are real keys to the Cardinals' success in the second half. Tremendous upside for both of them. And every season you're going to hit some bumps in the road, and they've done that.
It's just walk number 16 this year issued by Adam Wainwright in 147 innings pitched. And that is an amazing stat. His control is impeccable. And not to say that that wasn't a ball, but anytime he walks anybody, I find myself questioning the umpire.
Exactly.
Alexi Amarista, speedy center fielder, hitting .262. Off-speed pitch. And that's taken for a ball, and that pitch looked pretty good as Wainwright stares back into the home plate umpire.
An interesting strike zone here yesterday. That pitch, I believe Adam should have gotten.
2 runners on, and the 1-0 pitch. Chop to the right side. Adams has to hurry up and get back to the bag or get out of the way. He gets out of the way as Wainwright was there covering. Padres strand 2, but they grab an early lead. against left-handed pitching. Overall, they are 9-12. And the top of this lineup features 3 All-Stars: Carpenter, Molina, Craig, then Freese, Adams, Brock Peterson, Shane Robinson, the starting center, Pete Kozma, and the pitcher, Adam Wainwright. Let's meet the Padres defensively. It's brought to you by Dobbs, Quinton, Amarista, Venable in the outfield, Headley, Cabrera on the left side, Forsythe, Alonso on the right side. Rene Rivera is behind the plate, and the lefty Eric Stultz is on the mound.
Stultz has had 2 very good starts in a row where he's given up just 1 earned run, including his last outing against San Francisco. And he, like Wainwright, throws a lot of strikes. Top 10 in the National League in fewest walks per 9 innings.
So here is Matt Carpenter, hitting .323. 9 homers, 48 RBIs. The 9 home runs, to an extent, get overlooked. Not too shabby for a leadoff man. And you wonder how he changes his approach, being a leadoff man as opposed to being maybe a 5th or 6th place hitter if he's a third baseman, and how that may change if he hits for power or not.
I could see him hitting in so many spots in a lineup. You could see him in that second spot very easily. If the Cardinals somehow had a player that was a 40 stolen base guy, a guy like Cabrera, you wanted him to lead off. You put Matt Carpenter right behind him. You could see him in that third spot. He's got enough power and a high enough average to do that. RBI slots the 5th and 6th. I mean, I just think he is a player that can adapt to the situation.
Currently 6th in the league in hitting. Two-two pitch, and Carpenter lines it for a base hit into left center field. Man, is he fun to watch.
Carpenter, a very good at-bat against the left-hander Stultz. The Cardinals have not fared very well against lefties this year. First in the National League in team average and OPS overall, but against lefties, not as good. And part of that may have been the slow start for both Matt Holliday and David Freese, who've both come around. But this Cardinal team, as Mike Matheny has said many times, should hit left-handers. We are a strong right-handed hitting team, and you throw Molina and Craig into that, and there's no reason they can't hit left-handers.
I like this. Yachty hitting second in front of Alan Craig. And with Beltran out, Holliday out, you can adjust the lineup. But also, this second spot, according to Mike Matheny, is a chance to jumpstart a player. Tony La Russa did that a number of times, and Yachty is currently 1 for his last 7. And still hitting .336. Big gap in left center field. 2 balls and no strikes. He's tied for second in doubles, just shy of that 30 mark, and leading the league in hitting at .336. And right on his heels, the man on deck, Alan Craig, at .333.
I love that big space on the right side with Yachty in that second spot.
Molina hits a high fly ball, gets underneath it.
So much for the right side.
As Quinton makes the play. And back to the bag, Carpenter at first. 1 away, and it brings in Alan Craig. Beltran talking there with John Jay. 2 outfielders come off the bench in this ball game. It's a loaded bench with Descalso, Beltran, John Jay. So guys that have seen a lot of starting action could come off the bench today. Here's Alan Craig. It's not often that you can say that all 9 in a lineup have made their debut with the same team. Cardinals can lay claim to that today. Shallow right. Catch is made by Logan Forsythe, and a good play. But look at that. 1 through 9 made their debuts with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Not all of those players were drafted by the Cardinals, but in terms of their major league debut, yes. And Wainwright originally signed by the Braves, and David Freese, of course, with the Padres. But for the Cardinals to develop all of these players, they know each other, they know the system, and I think it's just a good, positive comment about the way the Cardinals go about their business.
Here's David Freese batting cleanup, part of the deal that brought him to St. Louis. Jim Edmonds to San Diego, and a deal that almost didn't take place. Jim Edmonds was originally traded to the Chicago White Sox, and the trade then was taken back because Edmonds did not want to go there. And John Mozeliak said, in 24 hours, you will be going to a team. Take it or leave it. And Edmonds had asked to be traded. And sure enough, the Cardinals picked up David Freese. Now, in getting David Freese, the Cardinals also threw in some money in that deal because they specifically wanted Freese. They saw something in him that he could be a major league talent. Rest is history.
Hadn't really blossomed yet. Fairly old in his minor league career at that point. And so the Cardinals scouting department clearly did find the diamond in the rough, and I think you give him credit for finding a player like Brock Peterson too, who's a AAA All-Star this year, was a guy that anybody could have had him, and teams could have pushed to get David Freese, but the Cardinals did it, and they're glad they did.
1 ball, 2 strikes on David. 2 outs, runner at first. Freese hits it sharply to short, deep in the hole, but a forced play at second, and out. Forsythe was almost off the bag, and he almost dropped this baseball in our Hyundai replay as we head to a timeout. San Diego on top. And that is August 6th. The Dodgers will be in town, and Nelly will be on hand for a special pregame ceremony. Purchase a special theme night ticket, and you'll take home a limited edition Nelly bobblehead. Cardinals.com/theme. Nelly night here at the ballpark. Star Wars night coming up. And what do you know? Yasiel Puig will be here too.
That will be fun.
Looking forward to it. Logan Forsythe at the plate. There's a drive out to deep right field. Going back, Alan Craig with room, and he makes the catch. We don't talk enough about it. His versatility. Left field, right field, first base, Alan Craig.
Craig also had a shot at playing second base for a while under Tony La Russa, and he's had to have a lot of gloves in his arsenal, that's for sure. And Allen, with just one error on the season, with all that moving around, he's become very accomplished at first base, and he gets the job done. And I would say, in terms of his ability to play a corner outfield position, I think he gets as many baseballs as any Cardinal that plays those positions right now.
Rene Rivera, he is 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts.
Rivera is a 29-year-old catcher, like Brock Peterson, a PCL All-Star, AAA All-Star. He's hitting .343. He's been recalled for the last couple of weeks, and his third big league team getting a shot here and really having a kind of a breakout year late in his career, just as Brock Peterson is doing.
2 balls, 1 strike. Center field, Shane Robinson. Got Yasiel Puig coming to town, Don Mattingly, Skip Schumacher, and another added element for you at home for that Dodger series. And we're looking forward to that. It's called the Phantom Cam. And if you watched any of the postseason last year, you could really see frame by frame the breaking ball and the stitching on it. If a ball is hit hard, how it's gone into the bat, and you see the give of the baseball. It's really an interesting look at the sport, and we'll bring it to you that entire series with the Dodgers in town. It's called Phantom Cam, and we'll be using that a lot and looking forward to it. Something a little different. Oh, 0-2 pitch, and it's swung on and missed. A 1-2-3 inning for Adam Wainwright. Matt Adams leads it off when we come back. Midwest is brought to you by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer. And go big at a Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger. It's another look at that Phantom Cam. And if you are a fan of seeing the rotation, the spin of the baseball, the torque of the elbow, just how hard a baseball is hit, you'll enjoy that angle. We have super slow-mo. And this is basically taking super slow-mo times 7 times 10. I mean, it is basically frame by frame, and it's an amazing look at how the game is played.
And the definition is outstanding, and we'll be able to pick out some nuances about, as you mentioned, the stress on an arm and maybe some things that you might miss in full speed. And, you know, this game happens pretty quickly. For a guy to deliver a baseball is pretty much of a fast twitch movement, and the swing of the bat is fast. I'm looking forward to seeing the swing of the bat and all that entails of what a player does with his hands and where his head is, and to have time to really judge how those go together for a perfect swing.
Here is Matt Adams. Big Fox had a shot recently of Miguel Cabrera on a home run swing, and it literally looked like he put a dent in the baseball. You could see the give of the baseball as he hit it, the violent swing, and he's so strong, and has turned out to be one of the great hitters in modern baseball history, undoubtedly. What he's doing again this year has not been seen except for a handful of times. As Adams reaches for it, slowly hit. Can the big man beat it out? Tough play here. Oh, what a play there by Logan Forsythe.
We saw Logan Forsythe play a lot last year, and we also saw some Chris Denorfia early in this season, and it's hard for me to imagine why those two aren't playing a little more often. They're very solid players, but Forsythe, of course, has given way to Jeff Jerko's having a very good season and kind of supplanted him as the second baseman. But very nice play, and he just looks very smooth around the bag at second base.
Moment that wasn't lost on either one of us was Brock Peterson last night. Major league debut, and these fans never disappoint. Peterson came up, and clearly they knew the history Brock has had in professional baseball. 10 years, minor leagues, independent ball, and made his debut last night. Grounded out, picked up an RBI. Also part of that was having Red Shandies in the booth with us, 90 years young, and his great history in the Cardinals organization.
I had goosebumps watching that moment, hearing the crowd react and understand what was going on so quickly, and you just realize how Cardinal fans get their news, whether it's from Post-Dispatch, from social media, Cardinal broadcasts on Fox Sports Midwest or radio KMOX, that you're hearing about Brock Peterson, and they knew about him.
There's a ground ball, and it's stabbed at by Headley. Can't make the play. Brock Peterson is aboard. We'll see if they give Headley an error.
I would think this would be an error. Pretty good play, showing some range to his left, but once he was able to actually come up with it, the error comes in the transfer. So this is the good part from Headley, who's a Gold Glover. Plenty of time to throw him out, and he just drops it in the transfer. So that'll be an error, his fourth of the season.
Shane Robinson start in center field today, and he's batting .238. What's been a bit surprising maybe for some, but not for Shane, his numbers as a pinch hitter, and you talked about it last night, very good.
3 for 10, and off to a slow start this year. A year ago, he was the top pinch hitter for the Cardinals. Really, Matt Adams has been the top pinch hitter this year, but he's starting today in his 9th straight game. There's how they defend Shane. You asked a good question off the air to me yesterday about Shane Robinson. I think it'd be interesting to delve into. What would he do at the big league level if he played 162 games? And that may happen sometime in his career, whether it's in St. Louis or elsewhere, and just wonder what his upside would be. He has hit everywhere he's played in the minor league.
And one thing you know you will get for sure, his defense will not go into a slump. Very good defensive player. The Cardinals love the fact that at any point in time Shane Robinson comes off the bench, can play all 3 outfield spots. And with Beltran this year, Mike Matheny saying he would not play center field, that really gave Robinson more of a foothold to a bench spot in spring training, because he could play center and play it well. He's not a big guy, but he takes a hack. He's got a good arm and runs well.
It's been 5 years, but in Springfield in 2008, Shane Robinson hit .352.
That gets your attention.
Sure does. And just 2 years ago, a .300 hitter at the AAA level in a full season. So it's possible that he's got a bigger upside than people might realize. You can really underestimate Shane Robinson easily.
Rick, I'm going to let you take the headset off and grab your cell phone, give Jeff Luhnow a call, and let's see if he wants to get one of the other guys he drafted.
Let's see. Get my speed dial here.
You got Luhnow there?
I'm looking.
What do you think? Bud Norris, is that up your alley? Is that who you're thinking? As Robinson picks up a base hit. Thank you, Shane.
I'm hanging up. I'm hanging up.
You're keeping him. Second Cardinal hit. Just pulls it through the left side, and that's your Chevy Fox Tracks. He likes that pitch up.
Sure does. A mistake by Stultz. And good hitters don't miss mistakes.
Eighth place hitter Pete Kozma. Runners in scoring position. Outstanding numbers for Pete Kozma.
That's a familiar refrain, isn't it?
Very much so.
For Cardinal hitters.
In the air out to center. Peterson has to get back to the bag at second. Hits the ball hard, but lines out to Amarista, and it's up to the Cardinals pitcher, the ninth place hitter in this lineup, Adam Wainwright.
Talked about both pitchers in this game being strike throwers, Stultz and Wainwright. You can also say both these guys know how to hit. Stultz has good numbers. Adam Wainwright also capable of helping himself.
Adam at 119, and in his career, near 200 hitter. He owns 6 home runs. Adam was saying the other day that he's just finally starting to feel comfortable again in the batter's box. He said taking a year off for pitching is one thing, but trying to get any kind of timing back as a hitter is another when you take a year away. Couple of change-ups, and it's 0-2. Runners at first and second. Wainwright in the hole, 0-2. Notice that Adam in this at bat with those changeups has moved up in the box.
Right.
Now he's a big guy anyway, 6'7", but he's not deep in the box and more towards the front portion.
Stultz doesn't throw hard enough really even to, I think, bother a guy like Wainwright, who again swings the bat well. All about timing. Mentioned taking time off. Dan, I got a hit in my last at bat in high school against a kid named Richie DiVincenzo, and my next hit was 7 years later against Nolan Ryan. So talk about rusty. And that's why pitchers can't. That's one of the reasons why pitchers can't hit. They just don't do it through the minor leagues and college.
Wainwright waves at it and strikes out. Why do you remember that final at bat in high school?
It was a bullet.
The bigger question. And fans that purchase a special theme ticket get a limited edition Star Wars t-shirt featuring Fredbird and that unique combination of Darth Vader with Fredbird. It's Star Wars night. You don't want to miss it. And that is August 7th. Cardinals.com/theme. I guess you could say it was disappointing news to look at the line of Chris Carpenter at AAA Memphis last night. And reading the article in the Post-Dispatch today, he was fairly tough on himself, which is usually the case. I mean, Chris Carpenter is honest, he's blunt in his assessment, and he expects perfection. And I thought he was awfully tough on himself for just being his second outing out.
I think you described him very well in what you just said, and I think it's a little unfortunate that when you have one particular start, of course, he's trying to make a miraculous comeback again. He was only able to throw 3 games a year ago, and to expect that this is really his spring training, and he's playing against guys that are in midseason form, even though they're AAA players, they're still professional hitters. And for him to expect much more than that, I think, I would hope he would be a little more patient with himself and just see if it comes around. But I think for him to be honest and say, I don't want to get to the big leagues and not help this team. I need to be performing, not just healthy. I need to be performing. I think that's a reasonable thought, but let's not judge that too quickly.
I'd be curious to know his hand, his fingertips.
Yeah.
Is he getting a feel of the baseball? And looking at his line, some of the breaking balls, he was spinning up there, and the reports coming out. Now, he did have a fastball that was hitting mid-90s, not consistently, but still, we know with Chris Carpenter, good cutter. If he can locate, he can win.
So you have a game like that in March,
and you don't care.
You don't care. Do you say, well, I can't help this team this year? I mean, and I'm not saying that's what he said, but I think you tend to over-evaluate when somebody goes on a rehab assignment and you forget that he's still trying to take some steps back, and he's not all the way there. That's part of why it's a rehab assignment.
It's the feel for his pitches at this point. Is that in question as Wainwright puts it right down the middle? Everett Cabrera at the plate. It's Cabrera, Headley, and Quinton.
The thing with Chris Carpenter, you can get the box that talks about experience. You can check that. Tenacity, passion, preparation. You can check all those boxes. You don't have to worry about that. It's just a matter of whether or not he's able to perform at that high level or not.
And it's a leadoff walk to Cabrera. Second walk issued by Wainwright. 1-1 game. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Reds are looking for a sweep over the Pirates. Here at Jones, the solo home run. And Corky Miller back in the big leagues with the Reds, scores on a wild pitch, and we're tied up 1-1. So Cabrera, 34 steals. He has been caught, as you see there, 8 times, and one of those times was Yadier Molina in San Diego earlier this season. Hit sharply, and this is a double play. Out at second, out at first. It's a double play. I wonder if Matt Carpenter, even though it was a bang-bang play, allowed that to get a little deeper on him, so it hit the ground, and then you get the double play, 4-6-3.
That'd be fast thinking if he did that.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Either way, it's good hands by Matt Carpenter. Able to get that on the short hop. And it's nice to get Cabrera off the base paths. Walking him is really like a double. 34 for 42 in stolen bases, but he didn't get a chance to go.
Now it's Carlos Quinton. Ground ball. Backhanded by Cosma. He's played a very steady shortstop. Quinton is 0 for 2. Midway through 3, San Diego. 1-run lead. The offense this season, the ranks of the Cardinals, and it has been a difference maker, and a lot of it changed, in my mind, when Matt Carpenter was moved to the top of this lineup.
Really not a lot of offense in the early going, but he jump-started it, and it really hasn't looked back. John Mabry has to be happy with kind of the way it's all come together, but I do think, Matt Carpenter, you used the word MVP for this team. For Carpenter, which of course we all think Molina is the MVP of the league, so it's hard to say that, but whatever word you want to use, Carpenter is integral to this offense.
And a strike to Carpenter at a 5-pitch hit bat to start the game, and then lined a single into left center field. Falls behind 0-2. And here you have a lefty on the mound, and Mike Matheny doesn't think twice about starting Matt Carpenter against lefties or keeping him in games with the tough lefty matchups.
Keeps his front shoulders in. He's not afraid to get jammed. Sees the plate very well. He does not. I think sometimes lefties, when they're facing a left-hander, their strike zone gets bigger. They have a harder time laying off certain pitches that are breaking away from them. Or we saw Venable last night get pounded in by Randy Choate, and he missed pitches that were about a foot off the plate because he didn't see it as well as he did against a right-hander. But Carpenter just has very good vision and understanding of the zone, even against lefties.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Gap in right center. And Carpenter stays alive. This is where he'll just drive a pitcher crazy. So Eric Stoltz has thrown 37 pitches, and 9 of those so far have been to Matt Carpenter. Carpenter drives it out to deep right field. Venable is back, looks up, and it's off the wall. Carpenter on his way to second base. It's another 5-pitch at bat, and it's another base hit for Carpenter. He's 2 for 2.
So much fun to watch him hit halfway to the natural cycle. I'm sure John Mabry rooting for that. He did that once. They tried to get in on him, but the ball came out over the plate, and he ripped it. Nice compact swing. And his 31st double of the season to lead the National League.
Here's Yadier Molina. So 39 multi-hit games, 4 in front of the next group, which also includes the man on deck, Alan Craig. Yadi skied one to left first time up. This is his spot. He could shoot one to the right side, drive him in. If not, just advance the runner. Huge gap in left center. We've talked about this before. Yadi is one of those guys that can survey a defense as he's doing right now.
Yep.
Bat control and see that there's a huge gap in left center and consciously make the effort to pull it in that direction.
We don't have the ability to stop the game and go down and interview Yadi right now, but I can promise you he knows where Amarista is playing at center. And there he is conscious of maybe being able to take that changeup from Stoltz into left center.
That swing there indicative of that.
Yeah, and it's not that it's in the forefront of your mind, Dan, because you still have to see the baseball and react to the ball. But it's just one of those variables that you put into your approach at the plate if you can handle multiple variables, as Yadi can.
Taken low. Did not go. 3 balls and 1 strike. So he's in the driver's seat here with Alan Craig on deck. Stoltz has been around for a while. 33-year-old from Indiana. He's claimed off of waivers back in 2012 from the Chicago White Sox. A 3-1 pitch, and he walked him. On the road, a different pitcher, 3-6, much higher ERA. And he's just pitched himself into some trouble here. First two have reached, and here is Allen Craig.
Really another example of somebody coming into his own, though. Stults, at 33 years of age, is pitching his best baseball. Up and down from the minor leagues to AAA for 4 or 5 straight years. The Dodgers at the beginning of his career, and kind of bounced around a little bit. Last year, won 8 games for the Padres, and this year, again, a very consistent starter for them.
And a long conversation with Allen Craig this morning about this spot. His approach with runners in scoring position and some of the info that he took away from Big Mac. Allen is hitting .484. He said what he tries to do in this spot, takes a deep breath, looks down, he'll get his signs from Oquendo, knowing he's swinging away. He says he visualizes just trying to relax and just put the ball in play. Not necessarily put it in the air, just put it in play. He said you have to slow the game down in these spots, and he said McGuire would always talk about his chase in '98 and how he was able to visualize, slow the game down, take a deep breath, step away. He said it really, that advice stuck with him, and that has been his approach, especially, he said, when he gets 2 strikes on him.
Say it's working quite nicely.
You bet. Hitting .484 with runners in scoring position.
And your point about including Mark McGuire in that, I think, is something we don't talk about enough. For players, they are kind of a composite of many different people who've helped them along the way and have taught them things that they have taken not just from John Mabry, but from Mark McGuire, coaches they had in the minor leagues. And you have to take what works for you, adapt it. So it's not just one guy that's you're following their philosophy. It's multiple people who've helped you.
The 2-1 pitch to Craig. Taken just outside. Allen Craig with a base hit up the middle that scored 2 last night. Got the Cardinals on the board.
Could be a go pitch here. 3-1, 2 runners aboard.
Craig is just 2 back of the league leader, Brandon Phillips. 76 driven in for Allen. A 3-1 pitch. He pulls it foul. League average, full count 217, and Craig has done some of his best damage with a full count.
Isn't it amazing how low that average is in the aggregate? For all the baseball, 217 with a full count.
Very much so.
When you see those numbers, what the batting average is collectively, like 1-0, or if you're ahead in the count or behind in the count, it is extraordinarily different. And it's why so many guys swing at the first pitch. It's oftentimes going to result in the highest batting average, and clearly 3-1 is a good count. 1-0. But once you get behind in the count, the numbers drop dramatically.
He's had 31 at-bats in this count. And in those 31 at-bats, 13 walks, 2 home runs. 3-2 pitch, runners go. Craig drives it into center field. He's back at it again. And with that, that ties the game up at 1. He is the RBI machine.
We've seen this before. Alan Craig standing at first base, driving in a run. Runners in scoring position, hitting a bullet. And the other part of the equation, Matt Carpenter aboard and scoring a run. That's his 75th run scored of the season. He leads the National League in that department as well.
So runners at the corners and a chance for David Freese to give the Cardinals a lead. Freese does with a liner into center, and that gets by him. Amarista went for it. He got burned. 2 runs will score. David on his way to third. He better hurry up, and he is out. Freese is out at third, trying to stretch it into a triple, but he drives in 2, and the Cardinals lead it 3-1.
Happening on this play, the dive by Amarista. Craig getting a jump and scoring. And eventually David Freese getting thrown out at third, but that was a bullet off the bat of David Freese. Here's the play at third, close play there.
Adams pulls it foul.
I like him attempting to go to third base. I think he had a misstep right around the second base bag that slowed him down at least 2 strides, and that's the difference.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Adams. Initial glance and watching Freese around second base, almost as if he was in a trot, and the reason was because, as you mentioned, was out of stride just a bit as Adams reaches for it, taken there by Forsythe, and he makes the play. Matt Adams 0 for 2. Seemed to be a short triple, turns into a double as that ball got down. And let's take a look at his track to third.
Just really slowed down after the second base bag, and I think he just either he hit the wrong foot on the bag or just maybe some indecision even about whether to go from second to third or not.
That gives him now 32 driven in as Brock Peterson looks at a strike, reached on an air by the third baseman Headley, first time up. We have had some neat moments in this ballpark and over the last 10-15 years. You think about Larry Walker, introduced 2004. Rick Ankiel coming back to St. Louis for the first time, and those that have helped the Cardinals win championships now with other teams and how they've been welcomed. But I'm telling you, right up there last night was Brock Peterson in that reception.
And the reception is what got me. You know, he was almost overmatched at points in the at-bat against Volquez, just trying to hang in there, just fouling off nasty pitches. And he did work hard in that at-bat just to get the ground ball that produced an RBI. But the fans' reaction, standing ovation when he was introduced, standing ovation when he grounded out to short. And you just had this feeling of what would it be like to be a young kid your entire life. You want to play, not so young anymore. You want to be a big leaguer. You finally get that chance, and everybody in the place knows what you're going through or is supportive of you.
Yeah, and he played independent baseball last year with a guy that we know well, and he was on the Caravan with me this past offseason, Brad Thompson, former Cardinals starter and reliever.
So he earned the spot here, and this is not a gift. Again, for Brock Peterson, hey, we'll just give you a chance to play in the big leagues. He had 306, all-star in AAA, 22 home runs to lead the league. So he's earned this opportunity. But I wonder how many times he almost said no to baseball.
Down the left field line, and he hooks it foul. His friends, we told the story last night, convinced him to stay with the game after he had essentially retired. And part of being drafted by Minnesota at the time was they would pay for his college education. But once he retired, you have 2 years then to cash that in, so to speak. And he was right at the cusp of that not being able to be paid for that college education. And the Cardinals came calling. The only team that did. The analytics department took a look at him and said, we think this guy can help us. And here he is. And last night it was a 9-pitch at bat.
And ultimately the guy who deserves the credit for getting him under contract is John Vooch, who's directing the minor leagues, and I'm sure he had a lot of input from a lot of people to say this is a guy maybe we need to take a chance on. But you know, you wonder how many resumes and how many pages and pages of statistics they go through to try to find somebody like him.
3-2 is popped up. Foul territory. Alonso is over, and he dropped it. Brock Peterson has got a life. And you know what happens with major leaguers when they get this second chance. It's a base hit.
I'm writing it down right now.
And he's not an independent ball anymore. He's not at AAA. This is the big leagues.
Wasn't necessarily an easy play for Alonso, but he had it in his glove. Actually had it in his glove about 3 times. Just didn't stick.
And you know what, Rick? If he gets a hit, it counts.
Sure does.
And that'd be one more than I had. And a lot of people. Pulls it foul. To me, his story is why we love this game. Staying with it. Perseverance. 3-2 pitch. Hits it out of play. How about this at bat by Brock Peterson? Long third inning here for Stoltz. Pitch number 12 of this at bat. Reaches for it, slowly hit to second, taken by Forsythe, and Peterson is 0 for 2. But a nice round of applause for him and the Cardinals as they take their first lead of the afternoon. Cardinals starter Adam Wainwright. It's our AT&T Twitter poll. The win total, he's looking for win number 13 today. Strikeout to walk ratio off the charts. Innings pitched And the home runs allowed, not many from Adam Wainwright. They all stand out.
Well, he's basically the best in the league in all 4 of them, so take your pick.
I will go strikeout to walk ratio. There's a leadoff base hit by Alonso. By the way, Wainwright is also among the league leaders in hits allowed, which would surprise some, I think.
Well, as much as I don't like to do this, I'm going to agree with you on the walk strikeout ratio. Yeah, I think that's just phenomenal. And we've talked with Adam so much about how he just learned while he was hurt watching baseball that walks were, well, basically not very good things. And as obvious as that is, he really saw the magnitude of what happens when a pitcher walks guys, and he essentially decided not to do it. Decided to have more of an aggressive approach when he got to 2 or 3 balls on a batter, that he would just not give in.
Will Venable walked his first time up. Pitch number 38 of the afternoon for Wainwright. One ball, one strike, and the double play groundouts, 19 that Wainwright has induced. What does that tell you, Rick, outside of the obvious, that he's able to get those ground balls, but what is he able to do?
Well, the Cardinals defense behind him has been part of that, because St. Louis leads the National League in double plays turns collectively, so they've been proficient at it, but it's making the right pitch when you need it. And Wainwright still has a bit of a sink on his fastball. He can throw the fastball up in the zone, but he also can throw one that sinks a bit. I think that cutter gets ground balls.
I was going to ask you about the cutter, specifically, and especially
left-handers.
Exactly, getting in on the lefties.
And probably what he'll try to do right here. 1 and 2. He's ahead on Venable. Venable showed a bit of a open area down and in yesterday that Choate exploited, so I'm expecting a cutter down and in here.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Curveball, and just missed.
Think about the way Wainwright attacked that first inning, striking out Carlos Quentin with a runner at third base. Not only getting the strikeouts, but when you get them. And getting the double play. You know, you need to make the pitch. It's what we talked about with Lance Lynn yesterday, that he was not able to come up with the pitch when he needed it, and so a couple innings got away from him.
Tight strike zone again here this afternoon. 3-2 the count. See if they want to start Yonder Alonso. He's not running, and it's a foul ball. Wainwright, by the way, has not walked 3 in a game this season, and he's 1 pitch away from doing that in the first 4 innings of play, and that tells me the strike zone is tight.
All the things we talked about Wainwright leading the league in. One thing we left out is team handshakes
and dancing.
He is way
Joe
above
Kelly
the bar on that
is
one.
pushing, but yes. 3-2 pitch again, and it's a ground ball pulled foul. That's Dave Roberts, who is a pretty good base stealer in his own right. First base coach. One of the most famous steals in postseason history. It's Dave Roberts, Boston Red Sox. Mariano Rivera on the mound. You may remember 2004, Red Sox trailing 3-0. And Dave Roberts stole second, came around to score on a Billy Miller single that tied it up, and Boston never looked back. Here's a 3-2. Got him. 75 miles an hour. Slow breaking ball, and strikeout number 3.
Downward break of the curveball of Wainwright, way out in front. Venable, who was hit well at Busch Stadium, but not that time.
Alexi Amarista. Infield is in at the corners, and he looks at a strike. Grounded out to second with 2 runners on his first time up. San Diego beginning a 10-game road trip this weekend set with the Cardinals. Off day tomorrow for St. Louis. And then we'll see the Philadelphia Phillies. They have one of the biggest names out there that many teams I'm sure have inquired about, but we're not sure if they're going to trade him, and that is left-hander Cliff Lee.
Next 3 weeks will probably say which direction, or 2 weeks. 3 weeks may be too late. Whether or not they are in it or out of it. Phillies certainly not that far out. They could make some noise in the second half.
Jammed him, but it's out of play. The Cardinals will not see Hamels. They won't see Lee in this upcoming series. Jonathan Pettibone, John Lannon, and Kyle Kendrick. And there's the potential that Central Division teams that many, the experts, frown upon could send 3 into postseason play. Strikeout back-to-back. Amarista is number 4 for Adam Wainwright. Wouldn't that be something? The NL Central producing with Houston out of the division. You know, that's where a lot of the wins came from. They could have 3 teams in: Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, St. Louis.
When it was first announced that Houston was going to go to the American League, I think there was a general thought of what might that do to the Central now that you don't get to play Houston as often. You know, the Central hasn't exactly been the strongest division in all of baseball to begin with, and with Houston going out, you think, well, maybe competition will be a little tougher. You'll have a hard time picking up those, I don't want to say easy wins, but wins against a team that's down. But it has not been the case. The Central's just gotten stronger. Pittsburgh's gotten much, much better. They've got very exciting young pitchers, and Cincinnati just keeps plowing along with a good ball club.
All of a sudden, you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's creeping in the back of the fans' minds. Here we go again. They dropped 2 straight. There's a ground ball off the bat of Forsythe and handled easily by Pete Cosmo. Cardinals with the lead at 3-1. And we'll have this one's for you coming up on Thursday. So we thank those that serve our country. Mission continues. Veterans pledged an oath of service to their hometown communities, where they will spend the next 6 months volunteering for local nonprofits. And we send our best wishes to these veterans and volunteers. And we hope you enjoy the broadcast coming up this Thursday. The mission continues. mission continues, and Al is usually a couple times a month on those trips as veterans volunteer, local communities, helping to rebuild some of those communities, and it's a great program, and we thank them for their service. As Shane Robinson pops one foul, and we're underway here in the home half of the fourth. One pitch to Shane, floats in there and catches the corner. Robinson with a base hit, first time up.
Dan, you're talking about the Philadelphia Phillies and the reality of the trading deadline coming up on the 31st of July, just 10 days away. And you think about the fact that teams are going to have to decide in the next 10 days. You can make trades after the 31st. It's just harder. But there are teams that are going to be forced to decide, do we have a chance or not? If you look around baseball, 20 out of 30 teams right now can legitimately say they have a chance at playing postseason baseball. Maybe more than that. You'd stretch with a couple and make it 22. By the records, a lot of close divisions. So I wonder if the trading deadline being so early really is in the best interest of baseball right now. I mean, there was a time where you could say half the teams were out of it by the 31st of July before they went to divisions.
And you're talking about the impact of the wild card on that trade deadline.
And even before that, going back to that rule was in place before there was 3 divisions in each league. And so you're forcing teams to determine that they're sellers when maybe they got a chance of maybe playing postseason game.
A little floater into right and a diving catch. Oh, what a play by Will Venable. Outstanding effort. And an outstanding catch.
Nice round of applause here in St. Louis for the visitor. Always love it when we hear that. You're a Cardinal fan, but you're also a baseball fan. When you see an effort like this, laying out, as Venable did, how can you not applaud for it? Outstanding.
Strike to Pete Kozma. If you're a general manager, the question you're asking yourself, is my team built to get in? Is my team built to win? And there's a difference. You know, there are some teams right now that could coast in, potentially, because they've had such a good run up to this point. But once they're in, do I have enough starting pitching to say, I can win this series and the next round and then the World Series?
And that's the elite teams that are thinking beyond just a playoff appearance. But there's a number of teams that are thinking, what do I need to do to get into the playoffs? Because that becomes a bonanza for that team if they do. I mean, it's worth playing for. And so you've got kind of a lot of different visions if you are a general manager, as you say, and the teams you really wonder about are the teams that are 8 games out, 9 games out. Do they give up or not?
Strikeout number 2. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years, and catch all of the second half action in HD quality. MLB.TV, where baseball is everywhere. If I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates and I've got a chance to get into postseason play, they have positioned themselves to make a run here, I'm willing to mortgage some of my future, because I haven't had a winning season in 20 years. And what will it do to my fan base if and when I get in? And you know, all of a sudden you start thinking about selling tickets and the various things that go on to not just winning between the white lines. It's a business here, but you have to energize a fan base. Cardinals aren't in that spot. We've been spoiled. Pittsburgh, clearly they need to win.
Well, we know postseason is fun. We've experienced that enough, but we may be a little bit kind of in that mode of taking it for granted because we are so used to it. But you're right, for a city like Pittsburgh and for jobs of managers that are trying to hang on. You think of Charlie Manuel in Philadelphia. What would that mean to him, for the Phillies to be able to play well the last 6 weeks and get that second wild card, and who knows what they could do in the playoffs with some of their pitching.
Phillies only 6.5 games out in their division. And as we saw in 2011, stranger things have happened.
In 2006.
Good point
about
there,
what
too.
happened there.
Limping into the playoffs only to win the entire championship. 3-2 is hit out of play. John Mozeliak has said that the trade market right now, there is not a lot that intrigues him. And it's very quiet at this point, and part of that is due to the fact of what you just said. Many teams still believe, hey, we're in the race. And our best potential trade pieces are staying with us. Will it get out of play? No, it won't. Rivera makes the catch, and speaking of catches, how about this play in right? Will Venable. Nicely done for the San Diego Padre right fielder. Our charter high-speed pitch. Both sides, Stoltz 90 miles an hour, Wainwright at 92. The charter high-speed pitch look at the starters. The fifth inning rolls in. 8-9 in the lineup. Then we'll see the top of the lineup. Young fans enjoying a little baseball here today. Very relaxing afternoon. Stan Musial statue giveaway at another packed house here at Busch Stadium. How old were your kids when you were playing?
When I was finished, my daughter was just 5, and my son was about a month and a half old.
So the daughter got a little taste of it, but not understanding what's going on.
And they remember a little bit more about the coaching in the minor leagues, and which really was just a year and a half or so. But my daughter does remember some of the time and some of the travel, but not enough to feel it as maybe the guys who get to play this game into their 40s, and they have teenagers and kids playing their own games, etc. And that becomes a bit of a trial for these guys who are away from home for so many years and missing a lot of moments with their kids.
That's one of the polls for Carpenter that, you know, Chris has said his kids are old enough to have at least a little bit of a semblance of an understanding of what dad does. And it's a pretty neat job. Major league player. Another breaking ball lifted out to left, and that'll drop in for a hit. And before the game, it was some of the families on the field with mom and dad.
Yeah, that's why we had it on our mind here. A lot of kids down on the field before the game today, and just so much fun to watch them. And
neat stuff.
Just really kind of a cool day. A lot of times the families don't get a chance. They'll be at the ballpark together, but to actually be on the field together is a pretty cool thing.
Eric Stoltz showing bunt. Struck out on a curveball back in the second. Wainwright has struck out 4.
First 3 years, I was always the designated pitcher in the father-kid game, and I got raked, let me tell you.
I bet you did. You didn't mind that higher ERA those days, though.
No, I did not mind that. I mean, Aaron Herr and O.J. Smith, a lot of balls hit hard back up the box right by me.
Sacrifice is good as Wainwright tosses over to Adams, and Rivera's in scoring position, brings in Cabrera, their leadoff man. Doubled and scored back in the first and also walked in the third. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, Rick, that if and when Chris Carpenter returns to the big leagues, that maybe we're seeing now more after these starts. He's a reliever instead of a starter. You know, could you get his best stuff for 3 to 6 outs?
Boy, it's hard to say. I mean, you're just so conditioned to think of him as a starting pitcher.
And if after seeing these initial outings, you know, maybe is he a guy that's best suited to be in the bullpen? And they've got a very tough call coming up.
The question would be in what role, too.
Carpenter is on a rehab assignment, and the rules of Major League Baseball, it's either he's up here or you cut bait. And they're about 20 days or so away from that decision.
Right.
And I'm sure that plays into what the Cardinals may want to do at the trade deadline as well. There's a lot of floating parts with that Chris Carpenter decision. I'd love to see him back up here. I think it'd be a great moment. And I know he was very tough on himself, but if he's a guy that could give you 3 to 5, 6 outs, that's a weapon. 1 ball, 1 strike on Cabrera.
Well, he would bring you a lot more than what he does on the mound. And that's the other thing. His presence in the clubhouse with the young pitchers, being around Shelby Miller on a more regular basis, and even a Lance Lynn, who's still young. And the influence that he would have would be maybe more important than what he does on the mound.
Sure. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Cabrera with a runner at second base. Blocked very nicely by Molina. Wainwright has walked 2 today. He has struck out 4. And he's allowed 4 base hits. Spins that one up there.
Padres, one of the teams he's pitched so well against, and there's others. But 4-2 in his career against the Padres, low ERA. Gave up that run in the first inning, but as good pitchers do, he just minimized the losses. 1 run, that's it.
And time is called. The 3-2 pitch to Everett Cabrera on its way. Little chopper towards short. Cosma. Quick exchange from the glove over to first. Say what you want about what he's done offensively, and he is in a funk right now, but defensively he is better than most believe. Known for years at StubHub as a great place to find the seats you want. That's Homer Road. Now they offer fan rewards at StubHub.com.
Looking forward this evening, Dan, going to be a part of the Matthews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club event, their annual event, their big fundraiser at the Missouri Athletic Club. It's just a very, very special organization. Mr. Matthews has done so much with them over the years to help out youth of St. Louis, and I know the Cardinals have been supportive over the years. Matthews-Dickey, and he has a great baseball affinity, and their club does such great work, and looking forward to being a part of that tonight.
Mr. Jack Buck was instrumental in helping raise thousands, if not millions of dollars for that club.
And he will be remembered and honored tonight.
Maybe hearing a buzzing in the background. A bunch of Harley riders just went through downtown St. Louis. Did you bring your outfit, Rick?
No, but I'm looking to see if Jose Oquendo is one of those folks out there. Don't see him in the dugout. Jose loves his motorcycle.
0-2 pitch in on the hands of Chase Headley, who's 0 for 2. He's grounded out to first and also hit into a 4-6-3 double play.
Oh, there's Jose. Oh, he hurt him.
That's taken just a bit high. 91 on the gun from Wainwright. Think about when he first was a part of a major league team, and he was a guy throwing that 95 to 97, occasionally 98. And less velocity, but great movement, location, control, and one of the best in the business. 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, and got him. Called third strike. 5 today for Adam Wainwright. The top of the lineup. He's already 2 for 2 with a single and a double. Why not mix in that triple and homer? We'll find out when we come back. Lead it 3-1.
Only 4 hits for the Padres. Wainwright looking for victory number 13 here today. The curveball has been such a good weapon for him in his career. Downward break and very, very sharp. And also good location. There's the grip. Fingers are on top of the ball, then they come in front of the ball, creating that downward spin. Molina doing a nice job of framing that last one. Chase Headley, a strikeout victim. Derek Williquist had a pretty good curveball.
Former Atlanta Brave and a high draft choice. So it's Carpenter, Molina, and Craig. That floats in there for strike one. Twice today, Carpenter's been up, both times 5-pitch at bats. First time a single to left center. And last time in the third, a double off the wall in right center. That's strike two. Think about the importance of on-base percentage and giving your big guys in a lineup a chance to drive you in. Carpenter has done that. He leads the league in runs scored. And hits it sharply to first, taken there by Alonso. First time that Matt Carpenter has been retired. So you get on base and then the RBI machine steps in, huh?
We've seen this combo quite a bit. Matt Carpenter getting on, Alan Craig driving him in. In fact, only one duo in the National League has done it more times. Brandon Phillips driving in Chu for Cincinnati. That's happened 22 times, but Craig and Carpenter have done it 21.
Yadier Molina, who was flied out to left and also walked and scored in the third. Big gap in left center. The first pitch is taken in. Who knows if Matt Carpenter did not emerge? Maybe we're talking about Colton Wong at the top of the lineup and playing second base right now. But Colton Wong is a different player than Matt Carpenter. You know, they feel that he is ready to play now in the big leagues, but it may change what the Cardinals want to do in the future. I mean, I'm not sure you want to take a Matt Carpenter and move him to a different position. He looks pretty good at second base.
Once somebody gets settled, it's hard to move him.
Yadi fights it off and off the glove of Logan Forsythe. And a base hit on a 1-1 pitch for Yadier Molina.
I still had the impression that the second base job was going to be Daniel Descalzo's this year to begin with, but Matt Carpenter has done so much. Descalzo's done a very nice job of filling in at both second and short. Molina finds ways to get hits.
Alan Craig, first time up on a 3-2 pitch. Singled up the middle to pick up RBI number 77, one back of Brandon Phillips. They're in the top of the 8th, and Pittsburgh leads Cincinnati 3-1. And Colton Wong, the position he plays is second base. You're not going to move him around. One of the top prospects in baseball, along with Oscar Taveras. Cardinals are hoping to see that he'll be back in an everyday lineup. If you're wondering about Taveras, who's playing center field this year, early August, and then watching that to see how he responds with that sore ankle as to whether or not he gets called up in September. He could provide a spark. There's no question about it.
I thought it was very possible that we would see Taveras sometime in July or August and not wait till September, but the ankle injury certainly has sent him back, and that's no fault of his own. It just happened. So you never have enough prospects. And honestly, if you're John Mozeliak and you've got the problem of what to do with Colton Wong, you're glad you've got the problem.
Situation, too, with Oscar Taveras. This was the season you wanted to see him play every day in center and get 400 to 500 at bats. And then at that time, make your evaluation. But they'll have to do it on the fly in the month of August to see what happens in September. Craig didn't like that call. 1 ball and 2 strikes. On 1-2, the pitch to Craig. Kept in front by Rivera. I'm excited about Taveras, and we talked a lot about the pitching staff. Are you built just to get in or to win once you get into postseason play? And There's so many stories of a player that gets called up where you trade for a player and it jump starts a team offensively or keeps them going in the right direction, which would be the case here. Cesar Cedeno.
Just thinking of Cesar Cedeno, CC, big home run in New York. Never forget that moment. Energized the Cardinal offense in '85. Dan Dreesen actually gave some real boost to the Cardinal offense in '87. And you think of Larry Walker, and it
gives a jump to it.
Will Clark.
Yeah, it's another good one. 2-2 the count on Craig. High fly ball lifted out to deep right. Venable back with room in front of the track and makes the catch. Try the new Egg White Delight McMuffin. It's only 250 calories and only at McDonald's.
Extend our best wishes to a good friend of the Cardinals, Bob Zeitz, who is at Barnes Hospital here in St. Louis, and we hope that he is feeling better. Bob, very much a part of the Cardinals Legends Camp every year in the off season, and we talk about that camp quite a bit, but it's become a real family of people connected to Cardinal baseball.
A strike to David Freese. Also a happy birthday to Rich Grote from Chesterfield. That comes from Mary Claire Bina. He's been here a long time with the St. Louis Cardinals, so a happy birthday to Rich Grote. Base hit into right for David Freese. Yachty on his way to third. David Freese, a two-hit afternoon.
You talked earlier, Dan, about the Mark McGwire philosophy of sometimes you just have to put the bat on the ball. It's as simple as that. That's exactly what David Freese does there. Very short, simple little stroke the other way. And it produces a base hit. Mentioned his second of the day. David has hit the National League West very well this year, over 400 against the West.
So Yachty stands at third. Freese at first, and here's Adams. Twice he has grounded out to second. First time it took a barehanded play to get Adams. Yachty's about a third of the way down the line, and the lefty Stoltz hasn't taken a look at him. He wouldn't do that, would he? Tear down that line and try to.
Hey, if Glenn Brummer can do it, why can't Yachty
pull off his best Glenn Brummer?
Well, Headley's way off the line at third, which is part of the reason Yachty was getting that big lead. One of the little things of the game of baseball, you still want to get that big lead just in case Stoltz misses with a changeup down, gets away from the catcher. Maybe a chance to score.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Fastball away, misses to Adams. Last home run for Matt Adams was back on the 6th against Miami. That was opposite field. A 2-1 pitch. Misses low and away. 3-1. Almost as if they're pitching around Adams to get to Brock Peterson. Can't say I'd blame him. Here's a 3-1. Took some off it, 78 miles an hour. Full count delivery now to Adams, and the runner will be off with the next pitch.
Little wrinkle from Stultz. Pitch count over 100, working in the 5th inning, a little bit like Volquez yesterday.
We'll do it again.
Yachty took that big lead again. It actually forced Headley to move while the pitch was coming home. Vacated his position a bit. Yachty's getting everybody's attention. There's Headley way off the bag.
3-2 pitch. Adams with a fly ball out to left. And Quinton is there. Makes the catch. The Cardinals strand 2. They've stranded 5 in the afternoon. We played 5. St. Louis leads at 3-1. Looking forward to that. The Phantom Cam that we'll have for that LA Dodgers series here in St. Louis. And the Cardinals have a lead of 3-1 this afternoon. Adam Wainwright and the Cardinals fell behind 1-0 after an inning of play, but they picked up 3 in the 3rd. And that is your scoring today. 3-1 St. Louis.
Adam Wainwright has thrown nearly 40 pitches less than the left-hander Stultz to get through 5 innings. Wainwright with just 66 pitches through 5, 44 of them strikes.
There's the cutter, and it's taken low. We're underway here in the 6th. Carlos Quinton, Yonder Alonso, Will Venable for San Diego. That's well hit down the left field line, and a fair ball. Hops off the wall, played perfectly by Peterson, and a leadoff double for Carlos Quinton. Adam has been dealing with base runners, it seems like, all afternoon, but he's pitched out of trouble for the most part.
And trouble to start the 6th, thanks to that swing by Quinton, keeping it fair, just barely into that left field corner.
Alonso is 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. Single to center, picked up an RBI, his 31st back in the 1st. That was on a curveball. First pitch he saw last at bat, hit it to left. Swinging away again on that first pitch, strike 1. At Ricky H49 is your Twitter handle. At Danny Mac TV mine, and we always get good questions and comments throughout the ball game, and we appreciate that. And Dan Murdoch is tweeted at me about the Cardinals National recognition. And that's a base hit into right. Quentin had to hold up to make sure it got through. It does, and it's first and third, nobody out. Seems like the Cardinals are always fighting that, the East Coast bias, if you will. You're not on the West Coast in Hollywood, so good team, the model franchise, but yet maybe not the recognition they deserve.
There's the base hit. Quentin has to hold up at first. Not sure if that's going to be caught or not. Finds the hole, makes it the third. I would say that the Cardinals' recognition is improving on a national basis. It seems to me that when there's reference to the Cardinals on a national broadcast or in a national publication, there's a real understanding that this organization is moving in the right direction, and it's talented.
Cardinals made a concerted effort 2004 season, a team that went to postseason play, went to the World Series, but to really invest in their minor leagues. Runners at the corners, and that's pulled foul. And the point being, Rick, is that many teams said, hey, we're going to spend a ton of money and sign A-Rod or some of the big name free agents. And the Cardinals said, well, that's one way we want to do it, but also let's look at the minor leagues too.
I don't want to oversay what I'm going to say here. I don't want it to be taken wrong, but I think the Cardinals have had a culture over the years to not necessarily seek attention. In fact, a lot of players pretty tight-lipped about their stance or their performance.
Out at second, on to first, double play off the bat of Venable, who really can get down the line, and a nice double play that's turned 4-6-3, run scores to make it 3-2.
No problem trading a run for 2 outs right there if you're Adam Wainwright.
I'm with you. I think there's been a sense that the Cardinals quietly go about their business, and Brian Cashman recently has come out and said this, Theo Epstein and others, that, and especially we see it when we come into the visiting cities, but we go into those towns and an article is written about the Cardinal way.
Well, and when you do a national broadcast of the Cardinals, or you want to talk to one of their players, it's like pulling teeth to get them to do it. But you can find all kinds of Dodgers and Yankees standing in line to do interviews.
Phillies coming to St. Louis. Utley, part of our Budweiser What's on Tap. Great numbers against the Cardinals, but the Cardinals aren't the only ones that Chase Utley has gotten to. Outstanding second baseman. Some believe that he could be on the move, potentially Los Angeles. The Dodgers have shown interest apparently in Utley and some of the Philly names. Keeping score at the ballpark.
know a number of fans that's part of the enjoyment of being at the ballpark. They want to keep score at every game they attend.
Well, I do that.
Something like I know you do it.
But I'm in the booth.
You have to.
Yes. But if I was a fan, I'd be doing it too. As Peterson taps it foul.
Did you keep score coming to watch Ozzie Smith play in the
I did.
80s?
Yep, absolutely. One of the first things I did, I got a scorecard and then went and watched Ozzie.
Were you broadcasting the games out there in the bleachers and annoying all the people next to you?
Well, I might as well just annoy everybody now.
No, I don't
do
mean
it on the TV, okay? Thanks a lot.
That's not
Rick.
where I was headed with that.
Oh, I know where you're headed with that. That hurts.
You got a step ahead of me, Dan.
I did. I used to go up to the upper deck and practice.
How about that?
I loved it. Now everybody's saying, Dan, you need a lot more practice, and let's get Mr. DeWitt to corner off a portion of the upper deck for you. So don't tweet at me. I already did it. Okay, thanks.
That's why we're building that thing across the way.
Right. Put me over there, Ballpark Village. Get me out of here.
There's the construction going on. Looking forward to all that's going to be. Making new memories here at Busch Stadium.
Two-tier deck as that's it out of play. We have seen a couple of balls actually leave the stadium onto the street. We saw it certainly in BP, but in live action we've had a couple that have flown out of here, and that is a blast. Walking out of Ballpark Village and got a souvenir. It's not Mike Laga-esque,
right,
but not bad. Mike Laga, the only man to hit a ball out of Busch Stadium 2, literally out of the stadium.
I saw it. Couldn't believe it.
The 2-2 pitch. Cabrera, outfield grass, and he makes the play, and Peterson is retired.
Told recently that Mike Shannon has that baseball in his restaurant.
Is that right?
The one that Mike Laga hit out. Yes. Haven't seen it, but I've heard that.
Fox Sports 1. It's America's new 24-hour sports network. It's coming your way on August 17th. Here's Shane Robinson. He has singled and also flied out to right. Shane at center field today. The Cardinals with Jay on the bench, Beltran on the bench. I'm sure John Mozeliak has had some sleepless nights thinking about what to do with Carlos Beltran. You turn the page, you say you've gotten the best out of him, or do you bring him back? And John recently told me, he said that after the season, more than likely, they will engage in some type of talks concerning Beltran and coming back to St. Louis. It's better left to wait until the season is through. Carlos would prefer to come back here to St. Louis, but he has made it a tough decision, to say the least, for the Cardinals as to whether or not to bring him back. Some would say it's an easy decision to bring him back.
The right price is always
Yes,
the key.
and in this case, can you get him enough playing time? That's part of it as well. As Robinson grounds it to short, Cabrera, a slick fielder, makes that play.
Nice response on Twitter. You were talking about keeping score earlier in the inning, and you got this tweet that Cardinal fan says, "I love it when people make fun of me keeping score at the ballpark, and then innings later they ask me what somebody did the last time."
It sounds like you and me.
That's right.
Never make that mistake again. As Cosma drops down a bunt, race to the bag, and he is safe. Tim McClellan with that call. Somehow he avoids the tag, and I assume he stayed in the baseline, and it's a base hit for Pete Cosma.
I think he could have had a little more leeway to go outside of it, but a push bunt by Cosma, and he just really needs to be able to get to that bag, and he does. He believes he can get past Alonso, and he does. Very close. Cosma's been doing that of late because he's been struggling with the bat, and figures I'll try to pick up some bunt hits along the way to keep myself going.
I said on a broadcast one time, for those of you keeping score at home, and I can't imagine anybody is doing that.
And you got slammed.
Oh. And rightfully so. I earned it. A lot of letters, a lot of emails. Waino is 0 for 2. Popped out to the catcher and also struck out. Pitch count at 122. This will be a new season high with this pitch here. And it's a strike to Adam Wainwright. ...123 pitches here in the 6th inning. Fly ball out to center. Wainwright is 0 for 3. Cardinals strand a runner. They've stranded 6 today, but they lead it 3-2 here at Busch Stadium. Broadcast for troops and their families. More than 350 family and friends of the Missouri National Guard Air Attack Battalion be at Busch Stadium. Thank you for your service. We're looking forward to our broadcast this Thursday. This one's for you. Some changes for the Cardinals as John Jay is into the ball game. He's in center field. Wainwright, well, he's still pitching. Shane Robinson moves to right field. And Alan Craig shifts from right to left. So those are your changes. I don't know if you saw this last night. We were just talking about a pitch count with Stoltz. Over 120 through 6 innings of play. Well, Eric Bedard of Houston last night had a no-hitter going and was lifted in the game. Afterwards, Bo Porter, his manager, was asked why would you lift Eric Bedard in this game when he had a no-hitter? And he
said, his answer?
Because he asked me to. So then after that, they went to Eric Bedard and said, why did you want to come out of the game? And he said, well, I'm not going over 110 pitches. I don't care if I had the no-hitter going. I've had 3 surgeries on my shoulder, and I'd like to pitch a little bit longer in this league. I'd like to get 2 or 3 more years in. He felt if he continued in the game, it could affect his shoulder, and so he was out.
Couldn't you throw some eephus pitches until they get a hit and just see what happens?
Anything. I'm staying in the game. 3-2 Cardinals here in the top of the 7th.
I guess the flip side of that is Johan Santana stayed in a game, and
absolutely,
some would say that that wasn't a smart move. But again, just throw some BP fastballs, see what happens.
On a hop and off the glove of Kozma into shallow center. Base hit for Logan Forsythe. Most complete games National League this season. Wainwright with 4, Kershaw 3, and Jordan Zimmerman also with 12 wins. Washington Nationals right-handed starter with 3. Pitch count only at 75 for Adam Wainwright.
Add Matt Harvey to that list. He probably had the 4 best starting pitchers in the National League right now.
Rivera reached on an 0-2 pitch. It was a breaking ball. That's all he saw first time up. That time it's the cutter for strike 1. Mark Kotsay has moved to the on-deck circle. They're in the bottom of the 9th. Pittsburgh trying to hold on. They lead Cincinnati 3-2. Runner goes. They'll avoid the double play. Kozma only played at first, 1 away. Tying run in scoring position and a chance for Mark Kotsay. Cardinals had already turned 2 double plays. So here is a longtime major leaguer, Mark Kotsay. Found a home coming off the bench for San Diego, hitting just 184. So a chance here to do a little damage and tie this game up. 36 pinch hit appearances for Kotsay, 7 for 36, home run, 4 RBIs, and he looks at a breaking ball.
Kotsay 0 for his last 24. Always been a very professional hitter. Good pinch hitter. Would not take him lightly in this situation.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Carpenter makes the play. He was able to surround it. I like how he went after that. Didn't backhand it. Takes a bad hop. He got a tie game. He made sure to get his body in front. Hyatt Regency St. Louis at the Arch. Hotel accommodations, also great package. Hyatt Regency St. Louis at the Arch. You're more than welcome.
I saw the same thing. I also noticed the way he had to make that throw kind of off balance. And you think about the number of throws, kinds of throws a second baseman has to make from different positions with his body and his feet and his lower half. Whether he's going to his right, left, coming in, going back. And that was one where he had to kind of shuffle his feet and really throw off the wrong foot almost. But that really hasn't been a problem for Carpenter at all. He's had a lot of good throws and most of the time right on the money.
Very efficient. 2 outs here in the 7th and pitch count at 80. Breaking ball taken just low. Cabrera doubled off the tip of the glove of David Freese to start the game. turned out to be a double. Came around on a 2-out RBI base hit by Alonso in the first. Cabrera walked in the third, raced on a double play, and is also grounded out to short. 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Cardinals have the top of the lineup coming up, home half of the seventh. How does he put him away here?
Well, the bread and butter pitch has always been the curveball for him. Like a fastball to somebody like Cabrera, you open yourself up to him just slapping the ball the other way, which is what he tries to do. So I like this choice here, curveball. Finish it.
There it is, and doesn't get the call.
Did finish it, and when I mean finish it, I mean don't kind of half throw it or release it too soon to where you're casting the ball and it stays up in the zone. That's the one that you get hurt with. And we'll see if he repeats. Yes, he will.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
This one for a strike.
Just got a piece.
Maybe switch to a cutter down and in now. Seen 2 curveballs. There it is.
Good battle here.
Didn't get it down and in, but that was the plan. And you get to this part of an at-bat, and there's really 2 or 3 ways you can attack Cabrera from here, and Molina and Wainwright are both thinking very hard here. How do we put him away? What's the best choice? Yachty makes the suggestion. Wainwright agrees with the suggestion. Better cutter this time. Down and in. Deep breath by Cabrera. He knows that was close, but he was right. And not swinging.
The crowd will come alive here. 40,000 plus on this 3-2 pitch.
And back to the curveball here, I would guess.
We'll do it again. Cabrera up 4 pitches seen. First at bat, 6 and 6. The second and third, and a long at bat here. Proud to partner with Stomp Out Bullying, leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Please visit stompoutbullying.org. Matt Carpenter leads it off. And Nick Vincent is our Chevy called to the pen with the Cardinals leading 3-2 here in the home half of the 7th.
Scoreless inning for Vincent here last night. Cardinals need more runs here going into the bottom of the 7th. This game too close for comfort. Good numbers for Vincent on the season. ERA at 1.59. Also a strike thrower. 15 strikeouts, just 5 walks out of the Padres bullpen. Bullpen is good for San Diego. They just don't get enough close games and enough leads in the 8th and the 9th.
It's Carpenter, Molina, and Craig. Well, you got to love how Adam Wainwright makes these decisions awfully tough on Mike Matheny. If and when you want to pull Adam Wainwright. He's had a bunch of those decisions this year.
And the reason they're tough decisions is Wainwright keeps his pitch count low. Doesn't walk a lot of batters. Doesn't really get a lot of deep counts. So what would be an obvious decision if he was at 120 pitches now becomes a tweener for Mike Matheny.
A single by Carpenter on a 5-pitch at bat to left center. That was back in the first. You see the line there on Adam Wainwright. 5-pitch at bat in the third. That was a double off the wall. Then he also grounded out to first unassisted back in the 5th. May have broken his bat, and he did. 0-2 the count. It's now a final. Pittsburgh defeats Cincinnati 3-2.
$44,000 plus here this afternoon at Busch Stadium. Including Ted Simmons, Mike Jorgensen, Ken Daly. Ran into all 3 of them within 5 minutes today before the game. I'm sure there's more ex-Cardinal players on hand. There's Teddy.
Simmons, an affiliation clearly with the Cardinals and San Diego, Pittsburgh. The great catchers in Cardinal history. Ted Simmons, some believe a Hall of Famer. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the Cardinal leadoff man, Matt Carpenter. And a rare called third strike on Carpenter. Backdoored it, and a strikeout for Nick Vincent to start the 7th. Yadier Molina is flied out to left. Walked and scored the 3rd. And singled off the glove of Logan Forsythe in the 5th.
Teddy was a great player. There's no question about that. Also a general manager, a scout, coach, so many different roles in baseball. And
fly ball into right, should be out number 2, and it is.
Anybody who's had a chance to know Ted Simmons and be around him knows just how bright he is too. I mean, it's just incredible how gifted he is, and probably keeping score in his own way on that iPad there. And Teddy was a very strong union leader as a player. Had a chance to know him and through many of those meetings and Players Association interactions, and very well thought of among his peers in terms of his convictions and his vision.
2 outs, nobody on. Alan Craig. You can't have a lot of yes men around you. I mean, it's one thing to have them, but you got to have guys that have convictions like a Ted Simmons. You're trying to be polite here. I mean, he is as opinionated as anybody. He gets in those meetings and lets it fly.
And that's a good thing.
Exactly.
That's a real good thing in this sport. And coaches love to say, and you know, we were kind of trained on this in the minor leagues, is hey, let's argue it out all we can. And I mean, we have to really go after it in these meetings, and then we leave the office and we're all on the same page. But if we don't get it out in this meeting, we're going to be sniping each other once we get out on the field. Players are going to see that. They're going to know it. They're going to respond by kind of being rebellious in their own way. They need to know that we're on the same page as far as what direction this team ought to go in.
Sounds like a draft war room, too. Each of the scouts trying to sell their guy to ultimately the decision maker. 1-2 pitch to Craig. Fouled back.
Most combative meetings are the ones with the coaches and the scouts together in the meeting. Sat in one where Dan O'Dowd was leading the meeting, and the coaches were saying the scouts aren't getting us any talent. We're doing a great job of coaching what we've got. And the scouts are saying we drafted the best players in the land, and you guys are messing them up. And the arguments were great. Wow. A little self-preservation going on in that particular meeting, as I recall.
Craig hits it out to deep left, and somehow the catch is made by Carlos Quentin on a sinking liner. He plays that into a circus catch in left field. No big deal. Sunday afternoon. Why not go back and do this? Let's go to our studio. Bommarito Sports Update with Pat Barris. All right, thank you, Pat. Good ball game here, 3-2. Wainwright approaching 90 pitches on the day. So with that win for Pittsburgh, they could pull to within a game if the Cardinals somehow can't finish this off and they're 6 outs away. If the Cardinals would win, Pittsburgh stays 2 back, and that would force Cincinnati to 5 games back. Sets up to be a fun 5 games in Pittsburgh.
Sure does. Looking forward to that series. Choate and Rosenthal backing up Wainwright as he starts the 8th.
think that he's getting loose for Alonso? Randy Choate?
I was just thinking, considering the way Wainwright's pitching.
Good effort by Freese.
I think it's one of those, I mean, and you'll get this direction sometimes. Just go along with him. Just get up and watch him without necessarily saying this is one batter you'll be up for. There are times where you're up for a particular hitter, yes, but I think in this case they're just kind of up following along. Face full of mud for David Freese. There's three left-handers, Alonso, Venable, and Amarista back to back to back, but I think a lot depends on how Wainwright gets through with his pitch count.
Up the middle, leadoff base hit. So a single for Chase Headley. AT&T Twitter poll, 71%. Shocking they agree with us, the strikeout to walk ratio.
I'm glad you said us, because you said it first and I was about to give you credit for your extraordinary influence, Dan. But it really is a phenomenal number, the walk strikeout ratio. Today Wainwright has had a couple of walks, unusual for him, to go along with his 6 strikeouts.
Cardinals have turned a couple of double plays. Can they get one here? Carlos Quentin, strike one. He's a dangerous guy at the plate who's got some pop. 12 home runs, struck out on a cutter back in the first. He's grounded out to short and doubled and scored in the 6th. Outfield extremely deep for Carlos Quentin.
Again with the changes, it's Craig, Jay, and Robinson from left to right.
Oh, 1 pitch on its way. There's a ground ball, but it's pulled foul. Nothing in 2. Yeah, there have been some games this year. Sunday night game I think of. Go back to the final game in Los Angeles against the Angels, where Wainwright came out of that start. And really the only hiccup this season for Edward Mujica was that night. As Mike Matheny went to his bullpen. And he may be looking at a very similar type situation again this afternoon. Look at that. He gets better as he goes along.
This is where the manager gets the heat too, and he's going to take it no matter what he does.
1-2 pitch. Ground ball, slowly hit out there. The turn by Carpenter, you bet. The double play. 5-4-3. Third double play turn by St. Louis this afternoon.
And number 110 on the season. Good turn at second base by Carpenter. Gets it off quickly and in time. It begins with Freese. Perfect throw. About chest high. Wainwright applauding his defense.
Yonder Alonso 3 for 3 off of Wainwright. And this is the guy I was thinking that maybe Choate was getting up for because of the success Alonso has had against Adam today.
And I think that that's reasonable if the tying runs on third base with 1 out. That's different than if there's a runner on first base with 1 out. I mean, all the factors that go into that particular decision are unknown for Mike Matheny until you get there. So you just want him loose just in case. Certainly it's a good matchup for Choate.
One and 2. Wainwright with one of his biggest strikeouts to end the 7th. The top half as he's at the century mark in pitches. He caught Cabrera looking. He has Alonso at 1 and 2. What's the pitch here?
Well, you hope it's a better curveball than the one he threw him in the first inning when he was trying to strike him out. He just hung it, but throw him a good one now. And he did, but Alonso didn't offer.
The 2-2.
Pretty good swing at that cutter. Curveball, then cutter. What's next?
What's next? Strikeout number 7. Of the game off the bat of David Freese. And this was back in the 3rd inning. That's when the Cardinals picked up all their runs. Diving attempt by Amarista. They say it's a game of inches. Well, we saw it there. Turns out to be an RBI double that scores 2, and that's the difference in our ball game this afternoon. Freese, Adams, and Jay for St. Louis. I think Adam Wainwright is through for the afternoon. I say that because of the hugs that we've been seeing during the break, and also Chief Edward Mejica, the Cardinals closer, getting loose in the pen. Some insurance would sure be nice.
Mejica's second in the National League with his 27 saves, and he's had some tough saves along the way. And you'd like to have a little breathing room for him. Get that extra run. Wainwright pitched very well this afternoon, if he is indeed finished. Once you start getting the handshakes in the dugout, the assumption is you are through. Molina gave him a big hug.
We saw Derek Lilliquist go over the Cardinals pitching coach. Those two had a long conversation, but at that point it seemed like the decision had been made. If I'm Mike Matheny, I'm not sure I want to go down and tell him that he's out of the game anyway. I'll send my pitching coach.
Well, and he should be the first line of communication. That's what he's there for.
You bet.
He's got to worry about how to get that extra run this inning.
Freeze grounds out to the pitcher. That's how we start the bottom half of the 8th. So 2 for 4 day for the Cardinal third baseman, and it brings in Adams. The Cardinals present Nelly night at the ballpark. It's August 6th. Here's Nelly. His diving catch here at the All-Star Celebrity Game back in 2009. You also get a bobblehead on August 6th. Cardinals.com/theme. The Nelly bobblehead. Something we have started, a new tradition in the booth today, that I've taken tape and gone right down the middle of our booth. And this is my area, Rick, and that's yours. And the reason that this has happened, if you've ever watched WKRP in Cincinnati, you know what I'm talking about. The reason this has happened is because you have decided during every Nelly promo to get up and start dancing.
Well, you don't like it when my iPad is on your side of the desk either, which I think is a little, well.
Adams trying to beat the shift by going the other way, and he's out hitless today. So this is a valuable piece right here.
Dan actually did this. He put this little piece of tape here. Now, I did say danger, keep out on this side, and that little thing that says Dan's World in that direction.
That's right, Rick.
And I can't really go over that line, and we're just keeping our space.
This is very important. Very important.
And I just am interested in how you're actually going to get home tonight.
I'm going to crawl through this way.
Okay.
I'm not going through your personal space.
Good
Don't
luck.
worry about that. Here comes John Jay when we come back. Being made. Here we go. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Great to have Les Nessman alongside. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And a new lefty is in for San Diego. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Cardinals leading by the score of 3-2. And Les is going to tell you all about this lefty.
He's tough. He's nasty. He throws from the side. Very tough on left-handers. Low ERA. Very durable left-hander. Padres answer to Randy Choate. I noticed that you did not have this tape up when you were interviewing Red Chambers yesterday.
No, I didn't. No.
I'm glad you didn't.
I took the wall down for Red, who's always invited into our booth.
Go wherever he wants in this ballpark.
You got it. I just found out you're working Star Wars night and I am not. I was willing to do the open with a Yoda outfit. That's out the window. But I'm sure you and Al will move on forward.
Why don't we pre-record that? And there's
good.
Let's put it this way. You and I are in complete agreement on who Al should be.
He breathes fairly heavily and is kind of a mean guy. Darth Vader. Uverse rewind, and the Cardinals have a lead of 3-2. Wainwright is through for the day. 8 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, a chance at win number 13. Alonso, big day. David Freese 2 for 4, and he 2 RBIs back in the third. AT&T brings you that rewind. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of your St. Louis Cardinals. So Mike Matheny decides to go with his closer in a 1-run game with Adam Wainwright at 103 pitches. Daniel Descalso is taken over at third. Mejica into the ball game.
And this is the point about the manager having to make those tough decisions, and you're not going to please everybody by the way you do it. There will be those that wish Adam Wainwright was back out for the 9th. And really, it's so much easier to say in hindsight, after whatever happens to say what he should have done, but he's got to make the decision beforehand, and that's part of what being a manager is all about, and knowing your players, and you can't execute for them. If Mujica does his job, everybody's happy, but Mike Matheny's showing confidence in Mujica really from day one in spring training.
Rick, the other aspect of this too, it seems like it's every 5th day it's coming up with the same guy in Wainwright.
Right.
You know, it's not like this decision's being made with Shelby Miller or Lance Lynn. Westbrook, this is Wainwright. This is your ace, your horse. The 0-2 pitch.
Well, why is it not coming up with Shelby Miller?
And that's the point.
Well, it's because he's throwing 110 pitches in 5 innings, and Wainwright's throwing 103 pitches in 8, and he's right on the edge. And so he's making it tough.
Great problem to have.
No doubt.
Outfield deep straight away, and that's taken outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Will Venable is walked, struck out on a curveball, and bounced into a key double play. 4-6-3 back in the 6th. Forkball, split finger, changeup, whatever you want to call it, but it is nasty when it's right. Bottom drops out of it. That's pulled foul.
called the changeup a cambio last night, Dan. It just kind of came out, but one of those words that American players will just pick up. That's the word for a changeup, and more often than not, that's what players will say. Cambio, not changeup. One coming here.
Ground ball right side. Mejica to the bag and got him. Second time we have seen that this afternoon. Adams ranging to his right, and the pitcher having to cover the bag at first. It was Wainwright a few innings ago, and this time Edward Mejica in that key first out here in the ninth.
And he has to hang on for the McClellan tease to find out whether he's actually out or not. He's on the base. Is Tim going to call it or not? Catches it. He knows he's out, but he has to wait. There's the play.
And there's a good call. Tim McClellan joined Major League Baseball 1983. He was out there when you were playing and generations of players. And gets that one right. He gets most of them right. Alexi Amarista. One away. Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live coming up. All the post-game highlights, interviews, and analysis. Strike right down the middle. Amarista with 5 home runs this year. In this ball game, twice he's grounded out to second. He has also struck out hitless in 3 at-bats. Budweiser player of the game, the starter Adam Wainwright. Nasty pitch there, 1-2. One-two pitch, and it's up the middle. Tying run is aboard. Good speed in Amarista. Left that one up, didn't he?
He did, and Amarista did a nice job of keeping his hands back. It almost as if he was looking for a changeup there. Really not a bad idea against Mejica. Stays back, just drives it up the middle.
No steals this year for Alexi Amarista. Logan Forsythe is the hitter. Flied out to deep right. He's also grounded into a fielder's choice and a single off the glove of Cosma. 2 hard hit balls today. The Cardinals have turned 3 double plays. Why not 4?
Would you prefer 4-6-3 or 6-4-3, Dan? Just asking.
I'm going to go 5-4-3.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
It's fine with me.
Or strike him out, throw him out. I don't care. Let's just get the W, huh? Cardinals, the cusp of win number 59 if Mejica can shut the door. Forsythe, and just watching his swings today, Rick, and over the weekend it's been limited time, but he seems awfully comfortable in the box, and he's looked good today. One ball, one strike. 1-run games this year. The Cardinals are 12-10. San Diego 3 games above 500. Some anxious moments here at the ballpark for these fans and the Cardinals, and in particular Adam Wainwright. There's a fly ball out to deep right. And it'll stay in the ballpark as Shane Robinson makes the play. Playing deep anyway. Makes the catch on the track, and there's 2 away. That at bat, I don't know if you could tell. I was a little nervous about that one.
I could tell.
Jesus Guzman is the final hope for San Diego.
You mentioned how comfortable in the box Forsythe was. Scary moment. Crowd hoping for just one more out here in the 9th inning, and there's going to be a conversation on the mound about just how they're going to pitch the pinch hitter Jesus Guzman, who has 2 pinch hit home runs this season, but 0 for 3 against Mojica.
That's almost how this series came to an end. Nearly picked him off.
Quick feet, quick hands, quick tag.
Strike one. It's a pinch hitter. Guzman, 5 for 27. Pair of home runs. He's driven in 8. Outfield deep straight away. The 0-1 pitch. A liner, and that is fair. And it does hop into the stands, and the Cardinals are going to catch a break. It hops into the stands, and with that, a ground rule double. And because of that, the runner trying to advance from first, and clearly it would have scored if it stays in play, and instead has to stop at third. What a break for the Cardinals.
A huge break for St. Louis. That ball just fair down the left field line. Guzman over the head of Descalzo, and here's that last hop, almost a little extra hop into the stands, thankfully. So Amarista can't score. Wow. Get a break, use it.
Jed Jerko will be the final hope again for San Diego. They're left to Hundley and to Norfie on their bench. You talk about some anxious moments. We've got them right now. Base hit puts San Diego on top. 2 outs, 2 on. The first pitch to him. He's taken for a ball. First time that they've asked the young second baseman to come off the bench and be a pinch hitter this year. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Pulled foul. We're seeing more pitches up today than normal from Mojica.
Anxious moments for a lot of people here at Busch Stadium.
One pitch. And a fly ball lifted out to left. Will it stay in the ballpark? Craig is back. Reads, he's got it! And the Cardinals hold on! Alan Craig with the catch! And the Cardinals take 2 of 3. Oh, what a way to end it!
Jerko gets a lot of it, but not quite enough. 373 feet. Alan Craig, what a play. Thank you very much.
Shades of Game 7 of the 2011 World Series. Alan Craig in left field. Took one away then. Saves the day today. 3-2 our final.